this video is going to start a little different. Have you ever been really disappointed by an ending? Maybe it was the finale to a beloved show. Maybe that final movie in the trilogy just didn't hit. Or hell, the final game in a trilogy. I can remember so many instances of this. I remember turning to my wife, Katie, after the original ending of the series Dexter, and beholding the most pure expression of indifference I have ever witnessed. And we loved that show. My cat is named Dexter. And yet, that doesn't hold a candle to the emptiness I felt after having hundreds of hours across 3 Mass Effect titles come down to red or blue. Or green. Or bullets. But you get the idea. And then there's the fact that, despite my undying love for all things Star Wars, that I don't even want to talk about the mess that is the Rise of Skywalker. It is hard to end things, to stick the landing, to bring multiple arcs to a satisfying conclusion. Hell, at the time of recording this, the marketing for the end of World of Warcraft Shadowlands is boasting the end of a 20-year journey. And I just saw my favorite video game villain reduced to a puff of blue smoke. Endings are hard. Which is why I think getting to the first set of credits in Heavensward impressed me so much. Iceheart. Estinian. Emmerich.
Sir McHandsome.
Sorry, Kyle, I apologize. Sir McHandsome. An entire race of dragons and the literal class division of an entire nation in what's going on with Ishgard came to what I think was a very satisfying conclusion. And this wasn't spread out over follow-up patches or entire other expansions. All of this was playable from the initial launch of Heavensward. At launch, players started and ended major arcs for so many characters. Admittedly, some of these arcs did start in A Realm Reborn, but so many of them really didn't get running until Heavensward. And I'm not saying that multi-expansion spanning stories can't be satisfying, but after taking a break, after finally unsubbing from the game, I have spent close to half my life playing because I simply got bored with a long, stretched out character arc. The initial ending of Heavensward feels like a triumph. Well, Kyle, we finished pre-patch Heavensward. We finished 3.0.
I spent the whole day just like gushing about it. Like anyone I could talk to, anyone I could text. I like sat on the couch like I had finished a book, just like staring into space. I was blown away that in a world where people take time off work for video games, where they say, I'm going to marathon this MMO, you could have finished it and felt satisfied.
You were, oh my dude, that shouldn't be as savage as it feels. But you're right. Like I don't know. Like at this point, I think this is the last. Mark this, everybody. I think this might be the last time I'm surprised by how I get a full package in the initial expansion content of any Final Fantasy XIV expansion. Because it's a video game. They're making a Final Fantasy XIV game. It just happens to be an MMO.
It's what Mass Effect wanted to do when it said, game's over, now play multiplayer. Same thing. I am overwhelmed with grief that I was playing other games in 2015. I am overwhelmed with joy that it immediately was like, and here's your next step. Post credits, any threads that are still open, they all feel like they'll be resolved, addressed, and there's an insane amount of content still to go. Just like A Realm Reborn, we've got dungeons to do, we have raids to go on.
And I trust that all of that, everything you just mentioned, it's going to be there. Like in Final Fantasy XIV, I trust. Like, there are some cliffhangers at the end of 3.0. If you can't tell, I'm skirting it. Let's get into spoilers today. We're gonna be spoiling everything up through Heavensward's first credits roll.
So when last we left off, we were wondering how the Knights of the Round Table, the Ishgardians, summoned forth their power suits. It was basically the very next talk that explained exactly how it's working.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. Had we gone one more quest further, we would have picked it up. YouTube comments were very quick to explain it. Most of them extremely kind, except for one of you. You know who you are. Don't be so rude.
They're primals. It's primal suit. It's like Shiva. Alphino's so excited. He just loves beating up primals. It was all the excuse he needed to get invested. So, hey, the guy's got conviction. He's got one mission, and I like it. Motivates him.
He is a Ghostbuster if they were really into K-pop. I realize this is a Japanese game, but let's just face it. Alphino could join BTS tomorrow and no one would bat an eye. His fashion sense is top tier.
And I like, being an exterminator, being an adventurer. This is where it feels like the classic Monster Hunter vibe that video games can supply. Assassin's Creed, what have you. These are the villains that are 100% beat upable. Don't ask too many questions. This is what we fight. It's going to be cool.
You just get jazzed. I mean, I feel like that has been imparted onto me as well. Like I really enjoy the primals. I love every time we get a whiff of a new one, I'm like, oh yeah, when are we going to get to fight this big baddie? And I decided to go Sea of Clouds first. So for me, this expansion started off with, I don't really have a gracious way to put this, primal blue balls, where we get to see Bismarck and then we fart off to do other things. I get excited. I think, like, my headcanon is my character just loves killing primals. Just loves the smell of dead primal in the morning.
And how could you not? Everyone else gets mind controlled. You get to fight them as a hero. And he was a really big whale that ate floating islands. What about him do you not want to beat up?
There is nothing. However, it could be even cooler. You could fight this really cool primal on a floating island that you're towing with an airship.
Yes, the fight is cool. The ending, however, most disappointing trial yet. We haven't done a wall of trials. Coming soon, perhaps.
TM.
This would be, I think, bottom tier, sadly. Oh, such a cool idea. You expose the back, get in the crystal business, and then just sort of ends.
There's not a great death animation for Bismarck, unfortunately. Is that what it is for you? You just wanted some cool death animation?
Maybe, yeah.
Because for me, yeah, if we did a wall of trials, this would be pretty high for me just from the spectacle of fighting on a floating island. The set piece of this primal fight, the act of playing the content itself and fighting Bismarck, I think it's one of the best set pieces we've experienced so far. So for me, I was over the moon with this. But you're right. It does kind of just end. And I'm going to be honest, I was expecting a getting eaten and fighting in the belly of the whale phase. So Bismarck's death animation, maybe not the coolest, but you know what was super not cool? It was actually great for the cinematic, but you know what's not really cool? Archbishop just walking in and kill stealing. I guess it's loot stealing.
So at this point, we know a couple of tidbits that in private, the Archbishop told us that he was going to betray the Asians. But right now, he's looking really, really mega evil and into it, hanging out with them. They take our key, and they're off to Azys Lla, which we are all heading towards, including the entire Garlean battleship superforce with Emperor in tow.
Yeah, they have this giant flagship that I love. It looks like something out of like if StarCraft was kind of steampunk, and I'm into it. It's got that Lucas Spielbergian race to the artifact, race to the location. Like whether it's Indiana Jones or a Star Wars movie, it's like we all got to get to the thing, be it an artifact of great power or the Death Star, and deal with this. And you have all these different people racing to it.
We also keep meeting Regula von Hydrus, who is very awesome with his big Warframe helmet and his single eye. I just have confidence that the game's going to do something with him later on. He keeps showing up.
I thought they were as cool as it was, and the flagship was clearly like a big player, at least in the entrance to Azys Lla. The Garleans seemed underutilized to me. That's when I just go, this is a setup for 3 dot forward.
We also had Lucia kind of join this storyline, riding in on what appeared to be her sister's old armor, right?
Oh yeah, like showing up on Livia's armor and like revealing herself to be a Garlean. We're just not going to trust anybody who's covering up the middle of their forehead anymore.
Particularly with a crystal circlet. If you've got a normal helmet on, we're cool. But any sort of goggles with a window in it, we're done trusting each other. But it's going to be great for story. And she fell in love with Commander McHandsome, which, who hasn't?
Yes. Well, I finally got something I've been waiting for, Kyle, which is starting to reunite the Scions, because throughout this, we finally get word of, we know where Y'shtola is, and we get to save her poor, I would assume, very cold, naked body from the life stream.
Cast a forbidden spell, ended up like dispersed into magic. You know, that old jazz.
Ah, yes, forbidden magic. How dare you?
Everyone's getting their outfit upgrade. It was interesting to have her join so late. She was well written to not know what was going on, but still be opinionated as her previous character was. And she pissed off Estinian with everything she said. So, grumpy Estinian. It's just great.
Who hasn't pissed off Estinian? He probably gets annoyed when they read back his order at McDonald's.
So we go get Y'shtola to introduce us to her old mentor, so we can build an etheric ram on Sid's ship, just using all the characters, the whole buffalo.
Yeah, this is for me is where it gets the most MMO, and by MMO I mean kind of like grindy, fetch quests, go get the thing, talk to this person, return later, talk to the person again. But I didn't hate any of it because goblins in this game are charming as hell. The library dungeon is one of the absolute coolest we've run so far, and Matoya is the coolest new character in all of Heavensward. I'm a sucker for libraries, man. I love magic libraries in my fantasy, and getting to go to the Great Gooble Library and fight giant books.
The Demon Tome, which was like the Demon Wall, but now a really, really big book. The final boss was so fun that I just didn't want it to end. The mechanic where you had to put multiple people in the circles and kind of match the pattern was just a delightful, really awesome thematic dungeon. And hey, hooray for Heavensward old people tech, because without that, we wouldn't have got Matoya and her sass.
Yeah, dude, it's like, I know we just had a live letter talk about how the graphics is going to get improved, but I will say that for this engine as it stands, as it currently looks, and how old I know it is, they really do accomplish impressive things with facial expressions. And then there's just Matoya's voice actor, who's just incredible. And the writing, and hats off to the localization team. There's so many moving parts when we talk about a character in this game. Are you still playing in Japanese?
No, I've been English.
Okay. Cool. Just wanted to make sure I know you were playing.
I'm sure she's fabulous.
I bet. I can only imagine. What a freaking great character. And her confusing open over his sister.
It happens.
Oh, it's so good. She was so charming. I love a sassy old lady character, and the fact that Matoya on top of that is a witch. And I can't remember, I don't think it was in a previous video. I think this was on stream, but we talked about which Scions we like the most. And you said that you just don't know Y'shtola that well, but because I started in Limsa, she's the first Scion I meet. So I'm really attached to Y'shtola. I think she's super cool. And as a Y'shtola fan, everything going on with Matoya and the journey to and back from the library and building the Aetheric Ram, I ate this all up. This was massive fan service for me. I really liked it.
Well, and now she has wizard eyes because she spent so much time in the live stream that she can now see without the aid of PKE meter.
That's an area where I'm not sure moving forward. I'm worried about Y'shtola, and I don't know how worried I should be, because Matoya says something to the effect that what she's doing, viewing the world through ether, is a drain on her life force. So is Y'shtola just gonna keel over soon? Because I really like her, and I'm gonna miss her.
I mean, according to anime rules, if you have gray eyes or gray hair and you're not old, you are dead in the water. You are either already dead, which she doesn't have enough flowing long mom hair to be already dead, or like a ghost or something. So she's burning the candle on both ends. She is consuming her life force faster than she should, a la Blade Runner, is my assumption.
I mean, hell, I was just talking about how I'm worried about Y'shtola dying. Let's talk about actual deaths. My God, so much happens once we get to Azys Lla. First of all, it starts off with a pretty damn good cinematic. I have not been quiet about how much I like Iceheart. And while I'm sad to see her go, what a glorious end. What a good arc. For this character to start essentially so misguided, so self-absorbed, to think that because she can summon primal powers that she actually is Shiva. She just has so much hubris, and she becomes so selfless by the end of this. She calls off a literal war when she realizes the error of her belief system. And then she shows up here at the end. It's just this baller anime move where she just free falls through the sky, becomes Shiva one last time, and takes the fight to the Garlean ship so that we can get safely to Azys Lla, and dies in the process.
And shows up riding Race Volgar, which doesn't insult our intelligence. This could have been we have to watch them become friends in some sort of moment they had. No, the fact that she is riding him communicated that they healed their bonds, or at least there was some sort of trust reestablished. Maybe we'll get into it in the future, but it was nice to just be oh, I understand this. That makes sense. I'm happy for them. Oh no.
I didn't need it over explained. And it too, I don't know, I feel like it respects the Iceheart character, and almost I can kind of feel knowing that, and I'm just thinking about this now, I think it probably brought that character closure, and it makes even more sense that she'd be ready to go and make the ultimate sacrifice. It's what else does she want to do? It's a hell of a bow tying on one of my favorite characters so far.
And in terms of pressure theming and our kind of triple faction ending we're going towards, she takes out, while it might sacrifice her, she takes out the Garlean flagship, which absolutely would have owned everybody on our tiny little enterprise / now called the Excelsior for its etheric ram, which is powered by the eye again, and we get yet another step of Estinian probably shouldn't use the eye, and he's shut up, I'm cool, it's gonna be fine.
We can all judge Estinian, but we kind of needed him to be a little power hungry.
So we do some wandering around Azys Lla, getting a lay of the land, meeting all the chimeras, and eventually, and finally perhaps, Midgarstormer comes out and addresses us again. Really happy we picked up that plot. We go meet Tiamat, who looks extremely uncomfortable. Of all the dragon bindings we've seen, even poor Bahamut reduced to just a chest bolted to the wall, Tiamat absolutely is the most uncomfortable dragon we've seen yet.
Oh yeah, it really we did Coils of Bahamut, and I'm really glad we did, because a lot of that felt like it elevated all of this for me. And Coils, especially when there were so many wings that I don't remember which one it was, but the one where the Coil of Bahamut, where there were a lot of dragons in test tubes, and we learned that the Alligans were essentially enslaving dragons for their own purposes. That was dark. It was rough stuff. But seeing Tiamat still binded, still just stuck in this prison on Azys Lla, I don't know. To me, it felt almost worse because it was so personal. Like, yeah, I can see this massive, cavernous, gargantuan room full of dragons in test tubes. But there's something about meeting Tiamat and hearing about the downfall, the tragedy of Bahamut that, to me, it's almost more tragic than seeing the scale of what the Allagans did to dragons. Is kind of seeing like the loss of, I know they're dragons, but the loss of humanity.
This was a really good reminder, too, of what we've learned about the primals, in that they're not the actual person. That wasn't Bahamut. That was the summoning of Bahamut. Those pieces are just so fun to play with in your mind. Like these little lore action figures they keep giving us to kind of hit over each other's heads.
Yeah, just like this corrupting power of primals and just how they're dangerous and it's not worth it. It's just, and yet again, it's like, hey, Kyle, look, actual shades of gray. What would we have done without Iceheart? Iceheart used the power of a primal so that we could get to Azys Lla and stop horrible things from happening to Eorzea.
And that really kind of introduces our 3-faction race there as we do catch up to the Garleans, who are now running around the island. We hear that they are after the power to control primals, imprison them. Basically, that Algian tech, however they can get a hold of it, they want it. And that's bad. And that is first what we're into as the Scions, our faction. And then we've got on top of this, the Archbishop and the Ascians.
Yeah, which you could almost say was a 4-way race. It's just that the Ascians thought they had a team.
Right, and they just want to spread, like, chaos and, dark void sort of stuff and teach everybody how to summon things they can't control to unleash ultimate evil and stuff like that. I'm sure we'll get more detailed the deeper we get in the expansions, but right now it's kind of, mustache twirly, to just unleash heck and let it play out.
Yeah, this was fun because we, finally get to take the fight, the La Habrea. I don't remember La Habrea's accomplice, but we get to take her out.
I'm going to butcher this. It's going to be okay. She's gone anyway. Igiorm? We don't really know this Ascian. They show up in the Limitless Blue. Interesting development here, right? We run into old Shakespeare. Orion J says he's been going through Membrida's old things and happened upon the perfect item for this very moment. We get that, and we get the Eye, a supposedly limitless source of etheric energy. And we use it like we did the staff to blast an Ascian into nothingness.
The Archbishop shows up, becomes the primal King Thordan, and just aces La Habrea through this wonderful reveal of what we all knew was coming, that the frickin' Archbishop had the other eye. But dear God, what a freaking monster model. The King Thordan boss. Dude, this is Heavensward, Ishgard, all of this super knight aesthetic. It is some of the most metal shit we've come across in Final Fantasy XIV so far, but King Thordan is it's just so metal.
Yeah, declaring himself God King. And if we have any better ideas, present them now or fight me. Fabulous. The visual feast that was that battle. Our chat suggested we put it to minimum eye level, which was great because it sort of elongated the fight, so we really got to chill in each zone a little longer. Ended up on the moon, which seems significant because this whole moon expansion, at least every time I log in, it's Tales of Love, and there's a moon. I'm thinking, maybe the moon is a thing. Something about maybe Ascians love the moon. I don't know what's going on there, but the moon's becoming more and more important. And now comes this fury of lore blows because La Habrea merges and is like, I will show you the true power of the Echo. What? The Echo we have? Do we merge with things? Is this
can we merge? Can we find Midriffia and do the fusion dance? Is that something we can do? Can I get a wonderful midriff?
Was that what we get together? Is a wonderful midriff and half the combat power? What would happen?
Jesus Christ. Just swinging at Menphilia, who we still haven't found, by the way. How much was Iggy Yorm, I don't know how to pronounce her name, like, she felt like this just also ran Ascian, like it just was there to have a cool boss fight. But you're right, dude, they use every piece of the story Buffalo in this game. So what does that mean? That if you have the Echo, you can merge with other people? How is that going to come into play later? I mean, essentially, all Ascians have the Echo, right?
That's what I've gathered. All Ascians have the Echo. We have the Echo. Are we an Ascian, or are we related to them? I mean, they're pissed at Hydaelyn, and Hydaelyn is the one we're connected with. So are they connected with Hydaelyn? Is there a dark Hydaelyn? We once saw that cutscene of like purple, evil-looking Hydaelyn, or like corrupted Hydaelyn. So, and then on top of this, we have the Archbishop fall to his knees and basically say, "What are you?" staring at us through his etheric-soaked vision, and we're a black void.
Yeah.
Which isn't throwaway.
One of the biggest bads we've seen so far is afraid of us, is like experiencing madness at what he is beholding. Like, oh shit, like, what are we evil? Are we the baddies?
But we still need an etheric source to do our blasts. And Moonbrita had to sacrifice herself in order to make the blast strong enough. So it's not like we're an endless source of energy, that we ourselves are a source. Or maybe we are, we just don't know how to use it because of the Echo?
Is that another way to deal with Ascians? Are we gonna be like, well, darn, we don't have the Eyes of Nidhogg anymore. How do we deal with the next Ascian threat? Because there are some. So maybe this is another route to another means to an end. I don't know. The Ascians are up to no good. There's a lot of things going on here at the end of Heavensward with like opposites and negative energy. They're definitely teasing like the dark bringer of light. White Robe shows up and teases, literally in his own words, the Warrior of Darkness. And it looks like the cinematic stand-in for the Warrior of Light, but Dark Link version. What more could you show me, a child of the late 90s, early aughts, that loves Ocarina of Time, to get me absolutely stoked?
Weird that it looks like the canon version of the Warrior of Light, because it's not like they couldn't use our model. Our model shows up all the time in weird places.
Yeah, the light reference to the Dark Knight questline. They use us a lot, and they change our armor and our look. I said something on stream about like, oh, I'm really excited to see what happens with Estinian in the future, and all the smiles just flooded into the chat. It was just a wall of smiles as Estinian, literally, while I was talking about, oh man, I just love this character so much, I can't wait to see where he goes from here, grabs the second eye, becomes consumed by that which he swore to kill. He becomes Nidhogg, just the absolute worst possible ending for yet another one of my favorite characters. Do I have, I'm not sure I have less favorite characters, Kyle. I think Urianger. I don't like Urianger. He bores me. I hate the way he talks.
He seems very safe. He seems very safe. I'm really excited for this because it's another lore action figure incoming. Estinian grabs both eyes, transforms. What kind of transformation are we talking here? It doesn't seem like Nidhogg's a primal. It seems like it's actually Nidhogg because he's got two eyes that still exist in reality.
Yeah, I think that is what's going on. I think the eyes are a way of resurrection, and I'm assuming it's going to be like when we were like, how are the knights transforming? And if we had done literally one more quest, we would have gotten that answer. And
another thing I'd just like to see fleshed out in that way is why the Archbishop went to Azys Lla. There's definitely a ride along for the Ascians. Did he use us directly to defeat the Ascians so he could then come in while they're weak and destroy them proper? He mentions that it's all this faith and the eyes and all this energy that he collected that allowed him to become the God King. So he could have done that at any point if he wanted to, but he wanted us to get into the etherochemical research facility and have the big fight there for a reason, including shipping that entire box of Thoradin along the way.
Well, that's why the Garleans are there, right? Because they want that tech. That was the tech the Alligans used to bind dragons led to the tech they used to bind Bahamut / what the Garleans call icons, what we call primals. Like, it's all connected. And so if you're an archbishop who's about to become a primal, wouldn't you want to control the tech that allows the control of primals?
That's a really interesting take. If you're going to rule the world with primal knights, might want to keep an eye on any sort of anti-primal tech that might be floating around.
Anyway, Nidhogg is back and gone. Just pieces out. We go to a very Lord of the Rings-esque scene, except it's a dragon and Midgardsormr showing back up in Ishgard. Emmerich and everyone except us taking a knee and pledging to broker peace between Ishgardians and dragons.
Everyone else except for Tataru as well. Tataru is standing through the whole thing.
I'm sure there was an off-screen scene where Tataru knitted Midgardsormr a nice bridle.
Brand new outfit.
Yeah, and then probably shared a beer, because Tataru, you cannot convince me otherwise, is a lush.
And then Sir Emmerich goes and joins the Grand Companies, to which I say, I'm ready to switch. Please allow me to join the best company there possibly is.
Oh, dear God. Yeah, dude. I mean, during the credits, it was very nice seeing Merleweb again. I would be hard-pressed to not want to be a pirate anymore. But if I was gonna, I'd become an Ishgardian. Ishgard is one of my top MMO cities of all time. I freaking love it there.
There was a slight moment of panic, though, where everyone's putting their swords in the middle and she pulls out a gun. And I went, whoa! What do you... Oh, okay, that's just your, like, weapon. That's you just...
But, like, yeah, dude, I mean, going forward, I'm really stoked to see what's next. Like, I'm so glad to know, like, I'm only, like, halfway down with Heavensward, essentially. Like, I've got all this patch content to go through. I remember at the end of A Realm Reborn being like, nah, just send me to Heavensward. I just want to go. But here... I'm full on David Tennant Doctor. I do not want to go.
I want to live in it a little longer, bask in it. And we've got Nidhogg, which is very, very exciting. And Hraesvelgr. Like, obviously, Nidhogg, trial, dungeon, what have you, we're going to fight him. It's going to be a story beat. But how does Hraesvelgr, who is very much alive, and with 2 eyes, both have 2 eyes, going to play into this? He has to feel bad, right? It is his fault.
I mean, we threw it all in his face, and the game frames it as Hraesvelgr is also guilty of perpetuating this war that has just claimed so many lives. And Iceheart was mad at him, and we saw Iceheart riding on the back of Hraesvelgr, which means they had to have come to some sort of agreement. And I think it's that Hraesvelgr did feel guilt for the part he played in this endless war, and so. Yeah, I think Hraesvelgr is entirely on team Nidhogg needs to die. If I were to make a prediction, could be wrong, because we also have Midgardsormr, who clearly is like, yeah, we got to deal with this if we want to have peace, like lasting peace.
And then we have the Ascians and the Garleans, but both kind of feel like they're set up for long-term storyline. I don't feel like we're going to be, solving any of those problems with expansions still to go. The only one I'm really curious about is that Regulus von Hydrus.
Yeah, you kind of got... I'm getting Olivia vibe, though, from him, where he's like, he's probably not that important, because Emperor Galvus is just strutting around, showing off his dope-ass hair. I don't know how Hydrus is going to hold a candle to the Emperor of the Garleans.
And we got our fire crystal, so we're all crystalled up. We have full reception back to Hydaelyn. How is that going to now advance? Midgardsormr cut us off, didn't think we were worthy, followed us through this entire journey. What part is he going to play now?
We got also like a little bit of like balance talk, felt very Star Wars-y from White Robe. Like, is it because we're increasing in power and our attunement to Hydaelyn? And clearly they've hinted at like this nether anti-Hydaelyn, like this dark crystal. Like, are they bound? Is it because we have risen in power? Whatever the hell we have become, we have ushered in this hinted warrior of darkness. That's kind of the vibe I'm getting. Hell of a journey, man. I'm ready to dive right back in, which we're going to be doing. So, if you're not already liked and subscribed to the channel, do it because we stream right here on youtube.com/AMoveTV. I'm satisfied. It's opened me up too, man. I just tried Elden Ring like this. You're getting me out of my comfort zone, and I am enjoying every minute of it. So thanks for starting this journey, dude.
It's good to play some game-ass games sometimes.
It's satisfying. It's well written. It's fun to play. And the community is hella awesome. Everyone's really supportive, and I've learned so much just through the community. I have so rarely gone up and looked up guides. Please like, subscribe, ring that notification bell. We are going to be moving forward, playing through the rest of Final Fantasy XIV until we are current. Damn it. We upload every Wednesday morning. We stream every Monday afternoon right here on youtube.com/AMoveTV. And you can find us on Twitter. I am at Garrett Art. Kyle's at Kyle Ferguson. So until next time, GG.